when Mike and I were talking about what kind of things would people like when we're all stuck at home, I hope you've all actually been out hiking. When we were stuck with 10-mile radius, that was really hard on us because we lived in downtown Denver, so we couldn't go further than the Broncos Stadium. But anyway, started talking about places to go, and I know some of, many actually friends are online here. And so if anybody who I know, there's a couple of you out there who are real experienced, feel free to throw something in, throw in a comment. I was amazed. I was just telling Mike, I was so amazed at how many places I'd actually hiked there. And I also have to say, I made a mistake. I kept thinking, it's too boring to tell, but I kept thinking that 216 was past 218, therefore it was 219. Not true, 216, and I'll show you all that. So what are we going to be doing tonight? My objectives are, this again is day hiking. If you saw the one last week, oops, we talked about just day hiking. If you're going to be going just on a day hike, even a really good one, a 10-mile or whatever, usually people don't want to drive more than a mile. I mean, you know, an hour, hour and a quarter. So I was thinking about areas that were good for that. Actually, we have gone on a day trip far beyond here, but this is a great place to go. And the other thing I wanted to say is this is an experiment. We were just talking about different things people might find interesting. So I really want to know, it wasn't that much work to put it together, but I'd really like to know whether anybody thinks it's really worthwhile doing. If you think, it's not worthwhile doing, tell me that too, and save me another week's worth of work. But it was fun for me to put it together because looking at all my tracks, it really kind of brought back some good memories and who was with me when I did certain things. I really like this place, and my husband Durham will be here in a few minutes, I hope. This place is right on the Continental Divide, and in fact, when I show you the map, the Continental Divide wraps around this place, which is very cool because there's still snow on many of those mountains. So that's fun, even in 90-degree heat. So I'm going to show you the trails. I'm going to show you the mountains. This picture behind me is actually of Herman Gulch, one of the main places we'll be looking at. There's wonderful wildflowers in several of the places here, particularly where there's water. We'll point those out. Winter warnings too. A lot of people go up here in winter and do ski mountaineering, snowshoeing, and we've done that. I now look back after I've done a lot of avalanche work and training and trained and think, oh my God, how did we not get killed? But that's easy to fix, is to find out how to do that. Access to the Continental Divide Trail. I love having access to either the Continental Divide Trail or to the Colorado Trail. And this actually, you're going to be on the Continental Divide Trail. So freeway exit info and parking, most of it's easy. A couple places are a little tricky. And also, if you decide to go there, where can you get info right away? And I have to say the south side of I-70 is just as fabulous, maybe even more, but we don't have time for that. So I just decided to stay on the north side. So if you were here with me last week, you know, I love to plan trips, and it all starts for me with a geographic orientation, like, you know, where are things? Do they point north, south, east, west? And so here's kind of a part of what I would do to put together a trip plan as a trip leader. We are in the Front Range mountain range. We're in Clear Creek County, although one of our trails will be in Summit County. And in fact, I'll show you on the map, 3 counties come together, Summit County, Grand, and Clear Creek. But most of these trails are firmly in Clear Creek. We're also in the Arapahoe National Forest. I have to remind myself, no E on Arapahoe, which I'm used to spelling that way. It's actually called the Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest, but on the map, this says Arapahoe. Anyway, they're together at the government website. And you'll notice on some of the signs, there are trail numbers. And those trail numbers are the ones assigned by the Forest Service. So if you want to look up a trail number at the Forest Service site, you just put in the trail number and you'll get it. And that site is like the real basic, whether you can take a dog, what you can camp there, what kind of camping, do you need a permit? Always good to check that out. As I said, we're in Clear Creek County, so we have a sheriff's number, and the ranger district happens to be called Clear Creek Ranger District. It doesn't always line up with the county. Really only need those numbers if there's some kind of an emergency, or you think there might be, like we were just talking, Mike and I, about there's a wildfire out in Evergreen, and I would call the South Platte District and find out what's going on out there if I had a plan to go. There's actually sites you can go to also that talk about smoke and fire and where they are. So usually when we go up here, we meet at the Woolly Mammoth parking lot, and you can find that location at the CMC Denver site. And it's kind of a tricky place because it's right where 470 and 70 and 6 come together. But once you get it, it's really simple. The suggested comfort stop, we talked about those last week, is the Sinclair at Downeyville, exit 234. And right when you get off the off-ramp, it's right there. They're really nice and they're open 24 hours. And the map, I think I have a picture, but it's one of these, will it show in this green screen kind of thing? No, it doesn't. It's one of the Nat Geo Trails Illustrated maps, which are really good. They're not of a scale necessarily that you can plan on too much, but they are really good if you want a paper map. So orientation, here we are. We used this map last week, done and put together by our fellow CMCer Allison Galinsky. And so here we are, Denver, Golden. You're going to be meeting right there at Woolly Mammoth, right there. And then hopping on 234 somewhere around here, up here. But this is the Veterans Tunnel. And then you go over through here, through Georgetown. There is a great visitor center at Georgetown, but it's just restrooms that early in the morning. So you can go on, and here's the Eisenhower Tunnel. So where are we going to be doing what we're doing today? We are here, basically on this side of the tunnel, but one of our trips will actually be over here, and I'll show you that in more detail. And Loveland ski area is right here, and it kind of goes over the Eisenhower Tunnel. So it's kind of an interesting place. Here are the exits and the mountains. Exit 221 is called Bakerville. I don't know why this is Quail Creek. I've never seen that before, Mike, but usually we call that Grizzly Gulch. And this is where you would get off to hike on this side to Grays and Torreys Mountains. It's also a terrible road, at least it was last time I was there. So that's 221. I put that on there because I found a track where somebody went across and did the Bard Creek Trail, and it makes sense, so I put it on there. 218 is the main one we'll be talking about today, and 216. The mountains, we'll see these again and again, but just to get you familiar, the tunnel is right here, all of Loveland. You can see Lift 8, all of Loveland ski is here. You go through the tunnel, one of our trails will be on the other side called Straight Creek. A lot of people, when they do Loveland, they go to Golden Bear. We're not going to that, but this is where they call the triple, where those 3 counties come together. Hagar, it's there. I have info for you, but mainly the ones we'll be talking about is the Citadel, Pettingill, both 12ers. And this is Mount Bethel. This is Herman Gulch, and it's very deep. It's hard to tell on this map. Figured these have to be pretty big, what do you call them? This is not 20 feet. I think it's a lot bigger than that, contour. And then this is one called Matchbook. It's just on this map named .12805, but that's what it's called. And then Woods is a double mountain. So sometimes you see it over here, sometimes you see it over here. You can see it's just double peak, fun. Parnassus is a big one we'll be talking about. Bard is one we'll be talking about, and Robeson up here. There's a lot more, but we're gonna kind of try to concentrate over here. And as I mentioned, on the south side, we'll be seeing pictures in the background of Snicktow and the whole Loveland Pass area. So those are the exits and those are the mountains. I found this great trail map of Loveland. So now we're looking, instead of straight down, we're looking from kind of northeast to southwest, so you can see all of Loveland. But what I wanted to point out is here's our exit 216, right before the tunnel. Here's the beginning of the Eisenhower Tunnel. Up here is that Golden Bear that I told you about. And then over here, you begin Hagar and some of the other mountains. We don't come up here. When we get off at 216, we're actually going back the other way. But I wanted to show that to you, how close you are to that. It's kind of interesting to be over the tunnel. Kind of fun, and you can hike that too. Oops. Okay. Here are at least the tracks that I had. I know other people have done other things. We're going to look at each individual one, but if you get off at 218, you can do Herman Lake, you can do Watrous Gulch, this is Herman Gulch, do all kinds of things up here. If you get off here, this is called Dry Gulch, and it's a completely different kind of place. Herman is really skinny and deep, and then Dry is really open. And you can get to some of these things from either side. So that's sometimes fun to figure it out. And then Straight Creek, again, on the other side of the Eisenhower Tunnel, can come up and you can do Hager from that side. Here are the trail stats. I always have to do this just to make sure I can really remember what I'm talking about. These are all from tracks of places I've done there. Not me, because I'm such a great hiker. I've just been doing it a while, and a lot of these I did with other people leading. But it's a really great place most of the year. Sometimes in the winter, there's avalanche danger we'll talk about. But I put these in order of, you know, the easiest ones, you know, going up to the big ones, and some of these you need a rope. And if you have to use a rope or scramble, you always have to bring your helmet. And I'll show you the next part. Okay, this is going back to doing each individual. And you can, by the way, ask me questions as you go, and Michael will tell me. This is exit 218. If you haven't been there, this is kind of a classic hike. In fact, I am sure this is on some hotel concierge's list and on foreign, especially Asian travel books, because whenever you come up here, first of all, the trail has been really eroded. They've tried to fix it up in the last few years, but it's really rocky and eroded. And there's a lot of foreigners always on it. I'm always hearing foreign accents and people talking in other languages, which does make it kind of fun. But it is a really well-used trail. And usually I like to only go there during the week, but we do take new member trips there because it's really awesome. So remember that. I just want to tell you about this one. When you get off at 218, you kind of come around, you can see come around, and then there's a parking area. There are some pit toilets there. They get very full in the summer on the weekends. And there's this trail you start off on right here. And I'll show you the junction. So you go this way for Herman and you go that way for Dry Gulch. What are these arrows? These are giant rock falls, and in the winter, they become giant avalanche chutes. And I know we were up, planning to go up there a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, there was a huge avalanche on Herman, and it didn't go away for a long time. I think if you had one down Mount Bethel, it probably also would run out into the creek. The trail is actually above the creek. I mean, you can't tell here, but it's a ways from it. In the winter, we tend to go right down the creek. So I want to point that out. When you get to those rock falls, sometimes you just want to go one at a time over them. It's not that those are so dangerous. It's just that you want to make sure that nobody gets caught in anything and that everybody's watching for everybody else. So you come up here to Herman. It's about 4 miles, I guess. This lake is kind of tucked in here. And I'm putting these here to just show in the summer, especially right now, the flowers are incredible. Under Citadel Peak, you can see there's this stream right here. And even when it's all kind of rough over here because people are walking around and digging things up, not on purpose, but just there's so many people. But over here, most people don't go past the lake. And over here, where there's water, the flowers can be so thick you can't even see the ground. So if you go about now, I would definitely try to hit that. You could hit that from either side. So ask questions if you'd like. I'm gonna keep going. This is exactly the same map, but I wanted to show you that when you're on the Herman Lake Trail, you're actually coming through the gulch and you're on the Continental Divide Trail as well. And the junction is right here. If you keep, and it's marked and it's easy to tell. Most people just go on to the lake, but you can keep going. And because the mountains wrap around, they go up this way and then they wrap around, you actually come from Empire, way at the other end of the Dry Creek Trail I'm going to show you. So it's kind of cool. And you can always, if you're up there, just head over to the CDT and take it for a while and see what it's like. It's a very nice trail. Okay, here's that sign I told you about, and here's that trail marker for the Continental Divide Trail. And so you can see Herman Gulch Trail that way and the lake, and then Jones Pass goes the other direction, Wood Creek, and we're going to see that as well. But it's kind of exciting to be on Continental Divide Trail, and you can see the lushness of this area, which is still pretty high up and away from the creek. Okay, this is the lake. So when you arrive at the lake, it's really tucked in kind of under kind of a sheer wall. But you look across, and what I wanted you to see was this is something called the Citadel, and this is something called Pettingill. And a lot of people come up here just to do these two things. And you can come at it. This is a saddle right here on the way to Mount Bethel. We're going to talk about Dry Gulch is on the other side. You can come up from Dry Gulch and do it. You can come around the lake and do it. And when I got my basic mountaineering certificate, it's now called Alpine Climbing School, we camped right here and got up at 3 in the morning to do that. There is a kind of a trail, it's very steep and gravelly, that goes up here. You can't see it here, but I'll show you that later. And as you can see, in the middle of summer, there's still snow. And this is part of the divide right up here. Let's see. Okay, here's another view of that. You can see how beautiful it is with the flowers, all different kinds. And this is higher up. You can see the trailer right here. So the lake is kind of tucked in over here. And you would again go up this trail over here, flowers all over down here. And again, this is the Citadel, and this is Pettingill. You can see, we'll talk about, there's kind of a big notch there. Here's what the trail looks like in the summer. As I said, it's very dry up here. Dogs are allowed and are running all over the place, and a lot of people all the time, kind of like a 14er because it's such a famous place. So that's what it looks like. And you're looking back down the gulch. I think that would be Parnassus over there. This is what it looks like in the fall. And the thing to know if you're new to Colorado is the aspens are from about 8,700, 8,500 feet up to about 10,000 feet. Sweet spot to see aspens. That's why Kenosha Pass is so famous for aspens in the fall, because it starts at 10,000 feet. And this is what it looks like. I think these were 3 new members. We were on a trip. Okay, this is what it looks like in the winter. And we are going down the bottom of the gulch. Sometimes I wonder if I just have to trust my trip leader that we were watching out for avalanche. It's plenty easy to come in here in the winter with no danger, but you have to go to the Avalanche Information Center and pay attention to what's going on up there. They'll report actual avalanches. So like, that's why I knew not to go there a couple of years ago, because there'd been one. The other thing to know is if you are a member of CMC or become one, we have a 1-day avalanche terrain avoidance school. And if you want to get into the avalanche country, we have a 2.5-day national curriculum too. But you just want to learn how to know whether or not there's going to be an avalanche or we should be careful. This 1-day school is terrific. I taught in it last winter, and I was impressed with the material because the guy who teaches at Brad Cotton has really done big work improving it, and it was actually a lot of fun too. We go up to near Jones Pass and do that, so we're not too far from here when we do it. Okay, remember I mentioned you get on that one little piece of trail going up kind of northeast, and then you come to a junction, and if you go to the left, it's Herman. And as I told you, this trail is so degraded. They have tried to fix up this part in the last few years, so this part might be better now, but parts aren't. This sign says go to the other way, and you can see these numbers I told you about. Those are the Forest Service numbers. and you go the other way on Watrous Gulch. Okay, so we did Herman over here. Now we're going to do Watrous Gulch. So we started here with our car, we came up, and now we're going to the right. And this is a different kind of gulch. It's much wider. And if all you want to do, it's like Herman, if all you want to do is take a family hike, this is great. You just come in and you can hike here, you can hike here, and you can see that it gets pretty flat there. Most people who come to this gulch do it to do these mountains. You can knock out a bunch of 13ers right here, Bard, Parnassus, Robeson. Remember I mentioned the two Woods peaks, and then this is Matchboof. I don't know why they don't name it sometimes, but that's what it is. Again, exit 218, and you can see Snicktow and the whole Loveland Pass area over here. So I'll show you some pictures of what this looks like. It's pretty cool. I like to go snowshoeing here. So this is the area we're talking about. Do the split, come up here, and then these are all tracks, I think that I've done, or done them with other people. I know I've done them all except this one I mentioned from Bakerville, and there's no reason you couldn't do that. And this is Parnassus. So a lot of times you have to go around the back of Parnassus to a really relatively flat place. And we've snowshoed up that a couple times. You could take this ridge over and pick up all these 13ers. You can come back and do woods. And I think if you do Matchboof, you can actually get to the Continental Divide Trail. It's just a really fun area. And whereas when you're in Herman, the stream is way down below you. In Watrous, the stream is right there and you have to cross it. So here's another view, actually kind of on a step near the top of Parnassus, but you can see the gulch down here, Parnassus, Bard, Robeson, so you're looking kind of east. This is just a picture I remember so well. A couple times we have gone around the back of Parnassus and snowshoed up to the top. And as I said, you get to use your snowshoe elevators. And if you don't know what that is, it's a thing that you pull under your foot and it lets you keep your foot flat while your snowshoes are very, diagonal. And just a reminder that we do have beginner snowshoe classes. Karen, I know you're there. We have them every January and February. So we just look for the best snow and that's where we go. And it's really fun. It's just, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours, and that's all the time you will need to learn how to use snowshoes. And actually, being from a beach and desert place, I find that's my favorite time of the year for sport. I just had to put this one in Watrous. You can see we're having lunch there, and I looked over. See this tree? Don't do that. Don't sit under one of those trees. They fall and kill people, at least 1 or 2 a year around here. So we have to, that might have even been me sitting under there, I don't know. So once you get down into the gulch per se, and you're crossing the creek, there's this sign that says Watrous, go that way, and it says Bard Creek Trail, go that way. We're not going to talk about Bard now because it's my favorite. I'll save it for the end, but Bard is a real treat, also a very long hike depending on how you do it. It's wonderful. And when I first did it, I looked through all of our past CMC trips and I said, I just got to know what that's like. And I could only find one time, one leader, my friend Stan Moore had done it, and he started out his description with, don't you wonder what that's like? And I said, yes, but he had got canceled for some reason, weather or something. So we did it again a couple summers ago together, and it was just a blast. I'll show you pictures. So now this is Dry Gulch. You remember the gulch behind the Citadel, behind Pettingill. This is exit 216. You're looking back at Mount Snicktow, and Loveland Pass is around here somewhere. So you're coming up here, and this is a nice summer picture, so it's gorgeous. It also, parts of this used to be part of Loveland, but no longer, and I think it may be because there's so many avalanche chutes in there. We'll look at that when we get to Straight Creek, but it's just gorgeous, and the flowers are magnificent. It's very steep toward the end. Oops, let's see, did I do that? So here's Dry Gulch. We got off at 216, If you got off at 216 and kept going this way, you would hit the Loveland Ski Area parking lot, but we're not going to do that. We're going to turn and come back this way. And this is that big open bowl, lots and lots of avalanche chutes you can look at, little tarns and all that, but these are areas where the flowers are fantastic. I told you also back on the Herman Gulch side where the water is, it's just great. So coming up here, there's Mount Trelease, the Wichita State football team. It's a fairly famous plane crash and horrible one, as they all are. That is on that mountain, and I never realized that when that happens, there's another one on Bethel I'm not familiar with, but excuse me, when that happens, they take everything away that they have to take away, people, property, but they leave the plane there. And there's quite a few of those, as you can imagine, in our Front Range. Been to a couple now. And you can just climb straight up there, see it, and go back straight down. Here's where all this water is, and the flowers are great. You can go up Mount Bethel. You can, I didn't write the track down, but you can go over to Hagar and climb that. You can go to the saddle between Bethel and the Citadel and go up to the Citadel. If you don't have a helmet though, don't go too high. Once you get up there, you really do need a helmet. But that's what that Dry Gulch looks like, exit 216. That's what it looked like last time we went. It was just incredible. All different kind of flowers. And it's funny how they just go in big patches, just a little bit of difference in sunlight or water. You get different flowers in different areas, but it was solid last time. Okay, if we went to the right instead of the left to go to Citadel, if we went to the right, we'd end up on the top of Mount Bethel, which is this, and we're looking down. This is Herman Gulch. The trail is actually up a little higher, I think. I'm not sure where we are. It might still be down here low, but eventually it goes up. This is looking back the other way toward the trailhead. It's just a really nice view. Okay, this is looking southeast down Herman Gulch. So again, there's that saddle. If you were going to go over to Bethel, you'd go this way. If you're going to do the Citadel, you'd go this way. We climbed up from Dry Gulch to here, or we climbed up from Herman Lake to here. And I'll show you a picture of that as well. So this is looking northwest up toward the Citadel from Dry Gulch, and on one of those wonderful days where it's just full of flowers. And you can see everybody scattered out, partly because they're taking pictures and partly because it's a really exhausting climb. You know, up, it's pretty steep when you get toward the end there. You have to go around these trees to go up. Okay, this is, if that girl was down here looking up, these are people coming down, going back into Dry Gulch, Herman on the other side. On this trip, we didn't bring helmets. We just went up to part of the bottom part of the Citadel and didn't keep going, because then you have to start really scrambling. This is what it looks like at that shoulder, everybody having lunch. Looks like the wind is blowing and there's still all this snow, but it's summer. I think when we were looking at the divide last week, there was still plenty of snow up there. Okay, so that was Dry Gulch. Now we're going to go over to the west side, which is Straight Creek. Remember, let's see, when did I show you? When we went into the tunnel here, I had it. We went into the tunnel right when we passed Loveland ski resort. And so when you come out the other side, on the west side, here's that whole huge mountain, and Loveland is on the other side. Loveland Ski Resort used to be over here as well, but it's not anymore. And so there's where you come out of the tunnel. I'm sure you've done that many times, and that's looking down Straight Creek toward it. How do you get there? This always mystified me till I went one time with somebody. So you come out of the tunnel, and just next time you're going by there, look, you come out of the tunnel and there's this sort of, they have all these staging areas around here. And if you look, you can drive off the freeway and there's a dirt road, and you just pick it up and drive until you get to the gate, and here's Straight Creek. People come up here and then they come across the top of the mountain in the summertime. So that's kind of cool. Not too many people know about that. So again, that's coming up that Straight Creek area, which also has really wonderful wildflowers when the timing is right. So going back to the Citadel, now the Citadel is here, Pettingill's here, Dry Creek is over here, down here, and Herman is over here. There's Herman Lake. This purple is what's called the Pettingill Citadel Transverse. And I think we were supposed to do this for my basic mountaineering graduation. There were so many people up there climbing, we didn't actually get to go all the way across to Pettingill. We just kind of had to go up and down around here, around the Citadel, which is this. But you can see they're 13ers. They're nothing to sneeze at. And you do need, there's one crux going from Citadel to Pettingill. You can do scrambling if you're really good, or you can use ropes, but at one point you have to do ropes about, I don't know how long now, 50, 100 feet. And that took a lot of time for people. If you just want to climb Pettingill, you come up behind the lake, and I'll show you a picture, and you can just climb up. It's all scree. I would wear a helmet, when you do that, but you don't have to go all the way to the top. You can just go to where you stop. So again, here's Herman Gulch, there's the CDT, here's Mount Bethel. So this is one of our new member groups, there's Dury. So if you were gonna do that one area that went straight up Pettingill, that's where you start to go up. And that's the non-roped way. So now on to the way to the other side, back to 218 and going into Watrous, and then you get to the sign that says Bard Creek this way. And this was such a delightful trail. It's anywhere from 13 to 15 miles. The problem is, and I'll show you when we get to the map, see, you come up Watrous, there's that little sign is there, then you come around Parnassus and Bard, and you come over these ridges, and every ridge you go over, you think, okay, that's it, that's gotta be it. You're way, way, way above I-70. You're so far above I-70, you can hardly hear it. And then you come over this ridge, then you go over that ridge, finally you go over this ridge. And this is all sort of alpine. And then when you get into here, I'll show you pictures, it just magically transforms. The trailhead is here. You get there by driving in a dirt road from Empire. It's paved for, I don't know, a mile, and then it's dirt. But it's such a poor, I swear it must be all prepper people up there, because there's a lot of cabins, and there's like a 3-4 mile trail, and it is the most horrible, rutted, horrible trail. I even saw a guy with a brand new Jeep, whatever that one is that's got the really high clearance, and he was struggling with it. So I think they like it that way. But we drove our Subarus in maybe 2 miles, and then we had to hike 2 miles when we hit the trailhead right there. So just a warning, we did this as a car shuttle. What you do is you park in here as far as you can, and then you drive back around to here. Then you walk it, then you pick up your car, and when you're so tired, you have to go find your car on this horrible road, but you're happy because of what you've seen. Then you come back and pick up your other car. So this is what I was talking about, being way, way, way high above 70. It's so high, and it's still kind of bleak. These, I think, are limber pines. I'm not positive, but I think those are they're not bristlecones, they're the ones high up right before that. And that's about all you have up here. People can go up and do Parnassus from here too, I'm sure. So you get over that giant ridge I told you about, and you can see now all of a sudden we're in this really nice grass. I think we had to go up and over this thing over there. But then this is what you hit. And there's so many old mining cabins and assay hole pits dug and all that, but you reach this gorgeous trail, Bard Creek, and the flowers were phenomenal. This is kind of a bare area compared to some of the places that we've seen. It was just different, and look at the pine cones in the middle of it. Just acres and acres and acres of beautiful wildflowers. I think we did this in the beginning of August, August 17th maybe. And then huge aspen forest, beautiful aspen forest. And you're by the creek most of the way back. So it's very lush. And I'll show you the last scene in a second. So where do you get info for this? Well, I think last week, but if you don't have it, and I think this whole thing will be on the YouTube channel in a couple days, but these are all websites you can go to and get free information. If you want to download maps, if you want to download tracks, then you can become a member. But I think Gaia used to be like $50 a year, and now it's like $30 a year. They keep coming down. CalTopo is great. Also, I think most people use these on the trail. Cotrex is run by the government in the state here, and all the agencies participate, so it's got the most up-to-date info. And it also has all the COVID closings, the traffic closings, the fires, everything all in one place. All Trails is sort of the go-to because it's just been around so long. Any place you could think of going, there's going to be at least 3 or 4 tracks there. Can't always trust them, but if you're a member, you can download them and give yourself a start. 14ers, Pro Trails, and Summit Post. I also found one the other day, 13er Climbers, I think, and that one was really nice too. That was put together by a family, so it has a lot of family information. So the official sites, I think I told you before, Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest, our CMC Press, Jeff Golden, one of our council members, is also a volunteer, is the publisher of the CMC Press. And we get 20% off our book purchases, and they're really nice books. The little trail guides, field guides to put it in this pack guide. They're lightweight, they're waterproof, they're just great. So this is the last picture from the Barred Creek Trail. After all that, that is the biggest rainbow I ever saw, and we were on that horrible road walking. We were so tired, and the road was hot and bumpy and rocky, but we had this great, great rainbow. So if anybody has any questions, you can ask them now. You can contact our Member Initiatives Committee, all the places I told you about, but you can look for these places. The reason I think Mike and I started talking about this was because you look on you're new to Colorado and you look on the thing and it says Herman Lake. You have no idea where that is. At least if you sort for Denver, you figure it's got to be within an hour or 2 of Denver. But a lot of people, it just takes a long time. We've been back in Colorado for 8 years, and I look at this stuff all the time. I'm just finally getting the feel for half of what I want to know. So take it away, Mike.
Thanks, Robbie. Yeah, this was terrific. Herman Lake is one of my favorite hikes. There were a couple that I actually haven't done that you mentioned, especially the one on the other side of the tunnel I've never done, and that looks really nice too. So,
Yeah.
you know, coming in from the backside, so to speak, that is really cool. Yeah, but yeah, with Herman, with all those, that area up there, it's so high that even in May, June, you have to sometimes worry about snow.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I actually went to Herman Lake, that was a couple of years ago, I thought I wouldn't need snowshoes, so I had them in my car, but didn't bring them. And I couldn't make it to the lake because there was just snow so deep that I had to post hole, and that's no fun. So.
And sometimes on Watrous, a lot of people go to Herman, but not Watrous. So I think a couple of years ago, we had a snowshoe to Watrous, and all these big guys were just post holing with their snowshoes. That's how soft and fluffy it was, and no one had been there to knock it down. So we all got worn out in about half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I always feel like Watrous is, if you go the right to Watrous rather than Herman Lake, it's almost like Bierstedt versus Square Top. There's so many less people in the Watrous way as opposed to the Herman Lake way. So if you are concerned that there's too many people on the trail, just take a ride, and you know the scenery is just as spectacular. There might not be a lake at the end, but you know it's still gorgeous up there. And the columbines up there are terrific. So
yeah.
We actually,
we saw a whole field of blue columbines at
Nice.
Kenosha Pass last week. They were
awesome.
You didn't want to go anywhere. You just want to sit there and look at them.
I actually have some in my yard.
Oh,
So
lucky. I don't have a yard anymore, unfortunately.
you live downtown. So any questions, folks? Feel free to ask now, or send a note to Robbie.
Yeah, I really want to know if people think this is worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
I will not at all be like, oh no. If you think this was like, what a waste of time, I could have just gone up there, whatever, looked at a book. Tell me that, because then I won't do it again. But
Right,
I kind of enjoy doing it, but it is work. And so we're trying to come up, Mike and I are trying to come up ways to keep people active, our members having something to look at and something to do. And there's actually lots going on besides this, but this was kind of fun for me because I hadn't been up there for a while.
Yeah, no, it's very nice. And even for me, who's been up there numerous times, there's still something that I haven't done that you showed. So it's really informative for, should be for even seasoned members, but especially for new members and prospective members, this should be a good guide. Those, getting a little focus area off the Front Range.
Well, there's so many things to do there. You don't have to kind of come up with something new. You can go up there and go so many different places right off the trailheads, and feel like you've had a different experience every time and don't have to worry about where to stop and all that stuff. So that's one reason I like it. And it's all this different terrain. If you're a climber, that's a great place.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, so we have a couple of comments in the chat box saying that this was worthwhile. So
good.
Thanks, Robbie. I think this is great. Yeah, and we obviously, we love to do these things, but we don't really want to do them if nobody's interested in it, because it does take time to prepare that stuff.
Well, I'm running out of things to do, I have to tell you. Actually, I'm working on, this is funny, we have at CMC Denver group, but it's for the whole state. Jess Stevens, one of our committee members, has formed what's called track manager, and he collects tracks from all the trip leaders. Right. And there were a couple that I didn't have, I couldn't find but mine, so I went and got them off there. And they're really well organized, and even put them in collections. And I'm hoping he'll have the time to come and do, something on that, because it looks daunting, but it's really easy to use. Yeah. But I'm going one better, I told them. I'm going to have to split it up into different parts, but I'm doing one where I have not only everything I showed you in that statistic picture, but I also have like, is it good for the fall? What kind of grades does it have? I just really enjoy, by organizing my material, I get to remember it better, I guess you could say.
We have one question here from somebody. Which of the CMC trail books would cover that area?
Front Range Hikes covers it. I think I looked at Front Range Hikes. Colorado Scrambles has it if you're going to do Citadel and Pettingill. The Colorado Continental Divide Trail will do it. Those are the main ones.
Yeah, so there's a couple of books that have that section in there. It's not a specific book about this area, but there is a few that cover it.
But really, I would go to All Trails or Gaia or Caltopo or any of those. And I think Mike mentioned there's an hour webinar on using every single one of those at the CMC YouTube channel. I learned a lot. Well, I use them all, but I still learned a lot watching them. So I think those are well worth your time. Okay, well, I think that's it. Yeah, folks, thanks again for joining. Thanks, Robbie. Thank you so much. I know that's not a 5-minute thing to prepare those things. So well, I think that was really, really good and useful, it seems. Well, if you're not a member of the club, come join. I'm one of the people who gives, my husband and I, who obviously had a horrible meeting or we would be here. We run new member hikes too, and we do teach snowshoe. So if you join the club, or even on a new member hike, you can just be a guest to check it out. Come join us. They're not on the calendar now, but they probably will start up again as soon as this all kind of calms down. Usually, Mike McMahon and I, we usually put those on maybe 3 of them a month. We try to put them on the weekends. Every once in a while, we'll do a Friday, but mostly it's the weekends that people care about. So if you want to check that out and just come as a guest, please do. Just look for new member hikes on the calendar.
And those have been very popular, and we had lots of them last year, right?
We did. We had, and all the different leaders help with them. So
right. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, guys. And I'll send everybody an email when the video is online and the slides are online. And then you guys can take a look if you want. Okay.
Thanks, everybody,
All
for your
right. Thank you. Thanks, Robbie.
Bye.